Troops mistreated and also misdiagnosed. We got our hands on an audio tape which first surfaced on Salon.com. It features the voice of an Army psychologist and was secretly recorded by a soldier at Fort Carson, Colorado. On it, Douglas McNinch says that he's been pressured not to diagnose soldiers with post-traumatic stress disorder and to label them instead with anxiety disorder. That could result in the wrong treatments, also lower disability payments or no payments at all. Listen to the sound.
I and other clinicians who do boards up here are under a lot of pressure to not diagnose PTSD. It's not fair. I think it's a horrible way to treat soldiers. But unfortunately, now the VA's jumping on board and saying, well, these people don't really have PTSD and stuff like that.
Well, in this note, we have reached out to Veterans Affairs Secretary Eric Shinseki 4 times in the past 2 weeks to discuss vets' health issues. He's repeatedly declined. Also, I've personally reached out to the Department of Defense for reaction to the tape that you just heard, and here's the reaction that we got. The Army does not pressure health care providers in their determination of a diagnosis, nor does it condone such activity. A 2008 Army investigation, in fact, concluded that commanders were not influencing health care providers. The investigation did, however, note that the requirements for a PTSD diagnosis were too cumbersome, making it difficult for soldiers to complete the physical evaluation board process. The Army also says it has made it easier for psychiatrists to diagnose PTSD by changing the requirements for a diagnosis. My next guests have spent their lives advocating for veterans. Bart Stichman, co-executive director of the National Veterans Legal Services Program. He's actually the one who got his hands on that shocking audio tape, and he's working with the soldier who recorded it. Also joining us, Tom Berger, who handles mental health issues for the Vietnam Veterans of America. Good to have you both. Bart, I want to start with you. The soldier that you are supporting, the one that actually recorded the conversation. I understand that the psychologist is in hiding now. Is that correct? And how is your client doing since that recording?
Well, I don't know the whereabouts of the psychologist who was taped. But our client, and when I say our, we have a nonprofit organization called Lawyers Serving Warriors that provides free legal help to people like our client going through medical evaluation boards by the military. And our client suffers not only from post-traumatic stress disorder, but traumatic brain injury. And so he can't remember all the time what his doctors tell him. Usually his wife went with him to these interviews, but on this occasion his wife couldn't come, and so he taped this interview legally with his psychologist so that he could remember what was said. And you've all heard the tape. He showed it to his wife when he got back. He didn't remember anything wrong on the tape, but she called to our attention the fact that the doctor said twice that they were he and his fellow doctors were being systematically pressured not to diagnose post-traumatic stress disorder. So
Tom, let me ask you then, looking at Bart's client, we'll call him Sergeant X, who made this recording, what happens when you are misdiagnosed? I mean, what could happen to someone like Sergeant X?
Well, there's both short-term and long-term effects. First of all, probably the soldier will not get treated properly, both in the military health care system, or if he or she is discharged, it sets up a house of cards in the VA because he or she's got the wrong diagnosis, so they won't receive the proper treatment. And if they do qualify for compensation and pension benefits, they'll be on the basis of whatever was disorder or other illness was claimed rather than the PTSD. And this could amount to thousands of dollars given over the lifetime of the individual.
And that's what's sad is you know, the excuse has been to misdiagnose because it's too expensive to help these men and women. Bart, you sat down with DOD. They have heard this audio tape. What did they tell you? What are they going to do? I mean, first of all, did they admit to this pressure by superiors to misdiagnose? Did they admit that psychologists are misdiagnosing? And what did they tell you they're going to do about it?
Well, the story changed over time. We decided to go through military channels so that the Army could correct the problem and find out the extent of the problem. So we gave the tape to General Graham, who at Fort Carson. He was disturbed by it. He sent it to the Pentagon. General Cody at the Pentagon was disturbed by it, or so he said, called us up and asked for a meeting. So 3 people from Lawyers Serving Warriors had a meeting with the Pentagon last July, and we thought they were concerned about the problem because they wouldn't have set up the meeting otherwise. We get in there, the first thing General Cody says is, "Are you taping us?"
So, Tom, has there been any type of investigation? I mean, this is last year that we're talking about that this has happened. Has there been any investigation? Has there been any efforts to take care of this issue?
The Army claims that they've investigated it and found nothing wrong. And as you've just heard, there are problems with that explanation.
So, Bart, are you concerned about your client, that he may face suicide or depression, or if he's misdiagnosed, alcoholism, drug abuse? I mean, who knows what could happen?
Well, we have lawyers that are helping him for free to get the right thing done. The Army report, you asked what were the results. They thought that there's no systematic wrongdoing. But let me read from part of the report they're not talking about. Part of the report has this finding: potential systemic pressures inherent in the Army physical disability evaluation processes may lead providers to avoid making a diagnosis of PTSD on medical boards contrary to their clinical judgment. With the end result of this is, if you're diagnosed with PTSD and the Army discharges you because your PTSD makes you unfit, you're automatically entitled to military disability retirement benefits for the rest of your life, and the soldier and the soldier's spouse is entitled to free medical care by the military for the rest of their lives, and the children get free medical care. But if you're diagnosed with anxiety disorder, instead, you're not guaranteed any of those benefits.